Okay, we're live. Okay, here we are, guys. Welcome to what do we call it, Brian? Your audio's not working. I
Hey, can you hear me?
can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, no, you put it in OBS. I don't remember.
Okay, let me. It's out on the stream too. It's called React Live Conversations Pre-Show Planning.
There we go.
Okay, so we are now live in the Learn to Code group, the Node group, and the React group. I think I dropped the JavaScript group. We only have 400 folks in there, so and no likes lately. So, anyways, we're live.
Right.
This is
All
us.
right. This is
So
awesome.
yeah, so okay, cool. So what are we gonna get done on this? We're basically testing out hardware, getting to know each other, letting everybody in the group know who we are. If you want to jump over, Brian, and get that live stream going, so you can kind of see what's up on your end. That's cool. But let me. I guess everybody kind of knows who I am, so I'll just save my introductions. Let's introduce Brian to the groups, which many of you have already probably known him from the past. But Brian, what's up, man?
Hey, yeah, I'm often lurking on the groups. I don't get enough time to be on Facebook as I
Some
want.
people. Yeah, I've been spending more time on it lately myself. So
That sounds good.
yeah, primarily we wanted to talk about React, and I guess since we're just kind of winging it and doing some planning, I do have this document that I'm sharing that you also have as well. And let me just share my screen so everybody can
Yeah.
see it. And there we go. So I wrote a bunch of hubbub about how awesome we are, which I think the reality for me is, I've been on the web since the beginning. I'll stop throwing out the number, but let's just say right after AOL started becoming the web, I joined the web. And
Yeah.
and so, dude, I wrote a bunch of stuff about you without running it by you. But I basically now it's live for everyone to see. Let me make the font a little bigger, and you can tell me if you love it or hate it. But yeah, this being our pre-plan dealio, Brian and I first met on the web. They say never talk to strangers on the web, but here we are, now hosting a show. So here's our Facebook group.
I think what happened in that was I joined your React group and started blowing it up.
Right.
What happened?
I love the confidence, because that's what React's all about. You can, like, nowadays it's like React is, for me, it's a big library, and I still kind of know what I don't know now. Like, I know what I need to get stronger at and actually apply. But you definitely came across as strong in that area, and also on the JavaScript side. And I do want to check out your dev.to. You seem to get a lot of accolades there, and let's go blow you up over there. So here you are, Steel Voltage. You got a ton of followers. Look at that, 65 hearts.
Yeah, I blow that site up too with my thoughts. I don't know if all my thoughts are very good, but I put them on there.
Well, what I like about not only your thoughts are good. What I like about your writing style is that it's always on topic about what people are kind of thinking. You also revisit stuff like closures. But what's cool is, like, you also interact me when I do my silly posts or rants, and thank you for doing that. Where I was like, explain to me. I was just being a dork. But it's actually ranking on Google now, and that was sort of the test there. But yeah, I liked your closure modules. But what I really liked about your stuff, Brian, is someone gave you, like, they didn't flame you. I don't know if that's the right word, but someone was,
Boy,
yeah,
that
that one article.
I want to show you something. Actually, hold on a second.
Yeah, you want to share screens? Here, let me make you presenter. Here, I'll stop sharing and you share. Yeah, I can't hear you. I can't hear your audio.
Oh, I was gonna say I wanted to show you my stats on this.
Let's do it. Let's do it. This is awesome. I just wish I had more coffee. Well, you pulled.
Honestly, Dev.to, has been amazing for, like, me as a new developer.
Hmm.
Just getting on there and blogging, and I've gotten a lot of traction, a lot of recruiters calling me and stuff, so it's valuable.
I'm not seeing what you're sharing yet, but
Yeah, I'm doing about to do it right now. I'm still
okay.
learning here. I'm still learning how to share.
I feel like I'm a little too glossy for our pre-go live here. I need to get a makeup artist and proper lighting. And my dog did chew up my hat. I'm not afraid to say it live. But I got, I love dogs, so. Oh, cool, dude. Yeah, you know what I wanted to do for when we go live, and I'll put it in the doc, is I want to take the live URL of YouTube and place it into a post, and then like go live on dev.to about the topic. Because I'm pretty sure we could do a live stream YouTube video from one of the posts.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and then also when we're done, go into YouTube and grab the not the transactions, what's it called? Not the translation, but the transcript, and paste that into the doc and like clean it up. How you guys? How's everybody out there? We probably got 4 live viewers right now. What's up, guys? I'm over here in above the planet Earth.
Above the planet. I'm on Mars. I'm on Mars. I don't know if you can see me right now, but I'm on Mars.
No, yeah, I got your camera up here in the right hand corner.
So this is my dev.to like control panel or whatever you want to call it.
Cool.
And like, look at how many views I've got, man. Like, I'm just amazed by this. I don't really write anything amazing either. I'm just, doing the basic stuff.
Yeah, it trips me out. I got like 11 followers from messing with that guy Ben's post that the other day, and I was like, and even the dev staff, DevTO staff, do they follow you a lot?
Yeah, they retweeted me one time actually.
Yeah, they asked me about my Next.js stuff, and they're like, "Hey, can you make us a retweet?" And like, I submitted it. I don't know if they're gonna tweet it, but yeah, they seem to like stuff about Next and React. Yeah, you have some really good content.
So here's the uncomfortable truth about dev.to. Okay, I want to show you how this works. So I made this thread here. So I made this thread here, right?
Yeah.
Or this blog post. You got
Framework Hell.
6,000 views, right? If I do something about closures, I get 700. So people like the controversial stuff, and I didn't really mean to be controversial with some of this stuff. I was just putting my thoughts down. But this one, you don't need a front-end framework. You probably don't need a front-end framework. 47,000 views. 100.
Wow.
And that was me discovering, like, that really was more of a post about me discovering server-side rendering for the first time. And I'm talking like using like templating engines or something on Node.
Right.
Realizing how simple that makes it. Like, not that you don't need React or Vue or Angular or whatever, but some sites, it's just not worth wasting your time dealing with all that trouble when you can just server-side render everything, if you're just serving like a simple website or a web app and you're just beginning, you don't always want to like get carried away, throwing on a bundle and having people download this huge, chunk of JavaScript and run it in your, in their browser. You just want to serve them a simple set of HTML and CSS, maybe a couple little JavaScript widgets or something. But, it's a weird way because I started learning the front end frameworks first. I think it's really weird, the paradigm shift that I've made where I'm realizing like when you don't need them and how, you have more experience than I do, Chad. So like you probably come from the other angle where you're like, you're starting like, why do I ever need React, right? Rather than me, it's like, now I'm starting to realize you don't always need React.
Well, I've gone through so I want to be honest with you, and I'm not afraid to say it on video here, that when I got into React, yeah, I came from the old school, which now I definitely see like jQuery as like spaghetti code, where I actually lived through a time frame where they were like, pure JavaScript is spaghetti, and you got to use jQuery. And some people were so strict back in the day that they're like, if you're not using jQuery, why aren't you using jQuery? It's faster, da 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 da. And so I've been through all that. And then I came and I found React, and I'm like, I got to be honest with you, everybody wants React. They're like, oh, we all want React experience, we want experts. So I was like, I got to be honest, I jumped on the bandwagon with React because it's for work. Everybody wants React stuff. So now I got to be honest with you, now that I'm picked up some other side clients from my day gig, the pressure's off, and I've been making a theme for Theme Forest. Not even for the money, but like I've been building in Next.js because you told me about it, and I'm falling in love with React and component design. And I'm like, it kind of reminds me of what Adobe Flex did for Flash, like component based,
Yeah.
and that was difficult too. So I digress, man, and I think I'm finally becoming and I get nervous for things that I start liking because by the time I start liking them, they're on their way out the door. So I'm like, watch out. If I start liking React, there might be something coming around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, you've been at it so long, you've been through the cycle, So I see your hesitation. They're like, do I get on this bandwagon 100%? Me, like, I've been more exploratory. I started really hard in React. I made like 3 sites.
Let's see one. Can we pull one up? I want to keep
Yeah.
looking at your stuff. I'm gonna put the music back on low, and I'm being cognizant of your time. But I mean, this is awesome. If you want to, just let's get an idea of who you are, man. Let's know everything.
I'll bring my screen back up here.
And again, I gotta say, that's some amazing accolades you got there for blogging. I think dev.to, if people were talking about the paradigm of getting jobs in the modern day resume, you better be on dev.to.
Yeah, I think it helps. I mean, obviously you don't need to be a blogger, but I think if you're trying to sell yourself as like someone who's really working hard at it, then you want to be like writing blog posts, sharing your thoughts, getting your kind of showing that you know what you're talking about. That's the way I look at it, at least.
Well, let me tell you one thing while you're doing that. Let's check this out. But I'm going to write a post, and maybe you'll beat me to it, but I'm going to write a post about why jQuery isn't dead. And I'm going to go and I'm going to show you the stats and of some articles about why it's still active and it's alive. It's certainly declined, but the title is basically going to be clickbait, and it'll probably get tons of attention. So it is dead. It is dying. But it still has more install base than any of the more modern stuff. And I don't want to talk about jQuery. I'm just saying it's still part of Bootstrap 4. It's still in I talk to developers all the time. Vue developers are like, yeah, I love Vue, but all day I'm working on jQuery still. And I'm like, okay.
All right. Yeah, I mean, my thing is and this is my site here.
I love it.
This is built in React. Well,
you changed it. You changed it from when I remember it.
Yeah, I've learned some things, so I try to stay dynamic with it. But I rebuilt it in July, right after I got my first dev job. Actually, I was like, I'm bored. I'll just rebuild this, and I built it in Gatsby, so it's 100%, which is a React statically rendered framework, or not framework, maybe library or I don't know. Yeah.
Can I ask you about that? Can I ask you?
Yeah.
Okay. So look, I'm always going to refer to myself as I'm not a beginner React, but I'm not intermediate. I'm getting closer to intermediate, but I am capable of building stuff and Googling. So I'm not afraid to build apps, but when it comes to Gatsby, I haven't touched it. So when you say does it generate? What does it generate? You generate to a cache and then you release that, and there's does it now rely on React? I literally know nothing about Gatsby.
Let me show you.
Please.
It'll be easier.
While you're pulling that up, I'm going to start some coffee, dude, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
That sounds good.
So I found these open source audio sites where you can stream your own music because YouTube keeps banning me for streaming other music. So what are we looking at here? Awesome. Projects. Dope. Oh, I see that view on there.
Yeah, you caught me, man. I've only been using Vue lately. But
really?
It's not that I don't like React. It's just
Vue's amazing. Yeah.
Vue's my jam, and it just makes it easier than React. I would probably use React professionally more than I would personally, but.
Well, that guy Ben from dev.to, he had some good explanations from people about explain Vue to me, and one guy had a really good kind of quick paragraph. Dope. Okay, so this is a
All right, so
Gatsby.
this is my Gatsby site. Like this is my source code or whatever. So let me kind of walk you through
Here,
like what's
let me mute. I'm gonna mute for a sec. Go for it.
yeah. Let me walk you through this a little bit. So what we have here is the main like source directory. This has all my code in it, Node modules, all that. But the main thing to note about Gatsby is it's a Node application. It's not actually like a front end application or anything. So what it does is I have this config file, and this is some JavaScript objects that describe to the engine what to build. And these are plugins and stuff that I have installed to help me out, like styled components. I'm sure you've heard that before. That just lets me write CSS inside of my components. Makes it easier. I don't have to have a giant file. I can work on. I guess the benefit to me is like all of my CSS is like localized. It's componentized, so it's not bleeding through. I don't have to deal with all those kind of problems. And then I have here, this is a source which looks into my image folder and uses GraphQL. So this is a GraphQL server, okay? And what it does is it builds a GraphQL server that has all my like static data. So I have, my images in there. I could put my blog posts, but I just linked my Dev.to posts. I feel like it's just easier that way. I don't have to keep the markdown in two different areas. Now that actually though, and I might come back and revisit this, Dev.to has like an API that I can just tap into and like literally just pull their all their data into my site here and render it out. It was just pretty dope. But essentially what Gatsby does, to get to the hammer of the point, is it builds your site in static files, like .html files, and depending on what content you have, you make templates. So like if I go into source here, pages, these are like some static pages, index, articles, but I also can make a template folder or directory, and in there have like a blog post template. And then as it pulls all the data down for each post, builds your URL, you kind of set up the stub for, or not, the slug for it. And then it just builds all your pages, and React kind of tethers it together and rehydrates on the front end and becomes a client-side app, which lets you have that like really snappy. So if we go to back to my blog, when you visit pages, it's really snappy because it's loading through JavaScript instead of, your standard full page refresh. So you get the benefits of being able to host your site on like a very cheap hosting. Actually, I use Netlify and I don't pay anything for this site. I just bought the domain for it. And you can, you can even throw it up on an S3 bucket or like Google Cloud and serve it from there, and you're not going to pay, you don't have to pay anything. You're not running in an application, which is what you have to do with React. You have to run, no matter what, it's going to be running. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you could run it like on a.
That's not true. I'm sorry.
You could run it on a GitHub site. Stuff like that.
Yeah. I meant I keep thinking of server-side rendered React because like Next, because I use that so much more. But yeah, like Next is very you have to host it, and there's a Node app. But yeah.
Okay.
This is just,
okay, that clears some stuff up for me because I'm working on a Next app now, but I haven't yet deployed it, and I was wondering if it caches out like this does. Can we see what the source looks like?
For the site, yeah.
Like the output, yeah. Like on disk. Okay, it looks like that. Wow.
Yeah, and the best part is you get the SEO. So like everything's filled out. Everything's filled out.
Nice.
As soon as the crawlers hit your site, they'll start consuming the information. So if someone searches for my site, I don't know what I rank on Google. I haven't actually checked, but I'm hoping eventually when someone tries to find, I'm just looking at. I always love this because I made this fully responsive. But yeah, I just honestly I don't know. Let's see. I wonder if I just type my name if it'll like search engine me. The Zoom bars in my way here.
Search engine me. No, that's really interesting. I mean, if you're interested, I'd love to see the project again. The directory.
We can get into the kind of discussion we were having a few days ago on, I think it was the White Hat SEO group, where I was talking about
Helmet.
SEO Helmet, which is in this site. So I'll show you a little bit of Helmet.
Okay. So and so like in layman's terms for someone like me, I didn't even Google it. What is Helmet?
So Helmet is a component, basically,
Okay.
like a series. I guess a better description would be a series of components that like kind of wrap your site and build out your meta tags for you, and fill in your description and all that. So here's my layout.
Kind of makes sense because it's for the head, so it's like a helmet.
Header. Okay.
That makes sense.
Is this it? I haven't been in this project in a while, so forgive me. I'm trying to remember where all my stuff is.
Well, gosh darn it.
I'm trying to. Was it a component? Okay. Oh. Hold on. I'm losing my mind here. I'm trying to remember, like, it's not in the nav, is it? No. There's a component that has all my stuff in it for SEO. Oh, here it is. I literally look at it's the component called SEO. I'm losing my mind. All right, so here we go. Here's Helmet. It looks a little bit what's the word for it? It's a little like
JSX.
Tons of so we have like it sets your language for you. So, Ink to English or whatever. Set your title. And then here the cool part is it's dynamic, so you can, like, depending on the page, you can render the title differently in the browser. This links to your fave icon, which is nice because then that's pulled in for you. And you have all these meta tags, so description, title, and it's pulling from GraphQL, by the way.
Okay.
So here's my GraphQL query, and it's pulling out of there, into these props. So I'm pulling it out of the props into here, which is setting it for me. So
nice.
All my meta stuff is set up, and then there's a concat at the end here because this all gets concatenated into one object, which is passed into meta, and then on the site you get all your SEO stuff. So if I go back here to my site and I pop up in my head, look at, I got a full head, like all the stuff you need for your SEO to just be relevant and get your site crawled faster. So
I love it, dude.
That's what Helmet is. And like there's not a whole lot to learn other than just like how to hook it up to your site.
Do you have the published content on disk, like the published HTML in the local project?
Oh yeah, I can show you a build. I can actually build it out.
Yeah, I'd love to see. Yeah, I mean, dude, I love it. This is killer. That's a really good tip. So just so I can know, this is something I can use with Gatsby.
You can use it with React, plain React too. Gatsby just uses the library. So see right here, React Helmet is installed in my package JSON file. So you just, it's literally, when you install Gatsby, the template that I use, it's called a starter. It's just basically like, it built, you don't have to build everything from scratch. It's kind of like a Create React app for Gatsby. And it comes with Helmet, comes with a lot of this stuff actually, but I installed some other stuff for myself. So like they have their own integration here for Helmet. So, but you can just use Helmet in plain React and it works pretty nicely in my opinion. Okay. I just want to check my script here. Okay. Build. That's it. I just want to make sure. Right here. npm run build.
Is that something I could use with Next as well?
Yes, but I think Next has their own variation of it.
Okay.
So, but we could always look that up later if you want to.
Sure.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure there's something either equivalent or you can use that.
Why do you think Ivan said that Next.js was a little too opinionated versus Razzle? Because Razzle doesn't have the scaffolding. Everything was like flat files when I tried.
Yeah,
it.
I mean the way it's opinionated is like the way they do, because like there's different ways to do server side rendering, and also Ivan's way more of a tinkerer than probably I am. I'm more like, let me just use the tools because I don't really want to get into the. But he's the guy's been doing it forever. He gets into he got into like the React library and built his own amazingly. He built his own server-side rendering, which I was listening to some podcast like a couple weeks ago, and they're talking about Wix, the site thing. They use Next.js, or but they only because they couldn't build it themselves. So the entirety of Wix couldn't get server-side rendering to work right, and Ivan was able to do it by himself.
I'm telling you, he's the best JavaScript guy I've ever known. Like, he is solid.
When he said that, I was like, "You're like you are amazing, man." Like,
yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, and he says he's got some time tomorrow to go live, and so if you wanna jump on that one too, I'd love to have you.
Yeah, Ivan's awesome. I think you need some. I think our viewers need some solo time with Ivan though before I jump in, because when we and him get going, poor Chad's never gonna get a word in.
I don't. It's okay. I don't need to. I'm too busy. Right. I just pushed us over to 2 other large React groups right now with 30,000 people, so we're live over there.
Yeah, I built my site out. Let me see. Did it not build? Trying to figure out where it went. Public. There we go. Yeah, this is it. All right, so this is the index HTML. Let me open this up real quick.
It's interesting that it minified it, because it's not minified in the browser.
Yeah. So because I'm not on Unreal web server, it kind of gets wonky here. But this is all it is. I can see I'm not serving it off from a web server, so it's not going to work right. But this is it. I mean, you just builds out all these files for you. I know this is a little bit dim. I don't know. Can you see it all right? I can.
Yeah, I can see it. No, it's okay. Right.
Yeah, I like a dimmer theme, but I can always switch if people can't see this. I don't know if anyone's saying anything, but these are all the like minified. Also, they automatically do put it through Webpack for you, so it's all what's the word for it? It's all pre ES6, ES5 JavaScript. Yeah, it's look at all this. But yeah, this is what it does, and it serves that up, and it's not pretty when it spits it out, but no one needs to care about that because this is for the machine to read, not for people to read.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That was the first. That was the most confusing thing to me when I first started learning code. Is why would you do this? I didn't get it. It didn't make sense. I was like, why not just use JavaScript in the source code? But now I kind of get it. Not only does this make it a smaller file size, but at the same time it obfuscates your code, so other people can't rip you off as easily. And back in the day, you could open up a site and grab out the JavaScript really easily and kind of just, you don't have to do your own work, right? You just steal other people's code and use it. But now it's a lot harder to do that. And it's because they do this stuff. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Stuff that's worth stealing is usually kind of spaghetti-ish anyways. It's true, you're right. You can still go in and read tons of code that isn't short variable names like this and minified. But even still, you kind of have to take on what was in their head. So yeah, I mean, I still hack stuff like this sometimes. I don't mean to, but sometimes you have to.
Yeah, if you need something.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, you're right. You get the minification plus the obfuscation, so that's cool. If you got me started on, is this the best for the web? And we started talking WebAssembly and how it hasn't really come around yet, or binary with the Flash days versus this. It would be a whole nother topic, but it's pretty good for where we're at today, as far as performance and transpilers and stuff.
I don't think JavaScript should be the end all be all.
And why do you think it won? Why do you think that it became the client?
I think it's perfectly good enough right now, right? For what we need. But I think eventually we should probably go towards WebAssembly. But I think that should be a gradual and slow progression, not quickly how Flash was killed. I guess you can't really kill JavaScript as easily as Flash, but I
mean, I don't know. Maybe Steve Jobs will come back and do it. 'Cause,
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the only one with the superpowers to kill JavaScript.
he killed Flash pretty. I remember the day he did it. He wrote a big article about it, and he banned them on their platform. But yeah, so those are the old days. So, but yeah, but the thing is, I'll say one thing about WebAssembly is I joined all the groups on Facebook, which we can look at like DevTO and there's people talking about it and getting excited about it and what it represents. It's kind of like a early religion right now. It's like, oh, it's going to represent change and compilation in the browser versus JIT. But then I went and joined all the Facebook groups, and you know what? Everyone in there just hates JavaScript. And so I'm not. It's not until the JavaScript guys and gals on the front end come over to WebAssembly and own it that I think it'll take on a life. Because I've tried, man. I'm a member of all the groups, and I try to share stuff. And the minute people find out that I'm a front end dev, like somebody called me a hacker, and I was like, "Come on, man!" I was like, "Show me the sites that you have." And he got real mad. And so, yeah, so like Blazor's really important. It seems like really like it's doing something.
I would definitely crank up some. Like I would try Blazor out. I'm just starting to scrape C# a little bit. You know, I don't like it because it's got that super heavy Java feel, and I get a lot of that from Apex, which is Salesforce's version of C# or Java, whatever you want to call it. I use that at work, right? And like, there's a lot of like little things I don't like about the language and the syntax because I started in JavaScript. Like, I feel like JavaScript is a little bit more beautiful, but I think maybe I'm biased because I started there. I know the most about JavaScript. Python's a close second because I've used that a little bit, and like it feels like JavaScript a little bit. I kind of like the way you don't need curly braces. I don't mind Python, but I feel like the statically typed languages for me are a little bit. I don't like the feeling of using them, or like really heavy object-oriented language.
You know what I'll do is I'm going to make a note in our document. I just had an idea.
Yeah.
That we should go live and try to make either a Rust or a Blazor WebAssembly application. Like we don't know nothing about it. We'll just start Googling and start hammering it, and we'll try to make one like live. Yeah. I think that would be fun and like relevant.
Oh yeah.
Maybe because like, can you do React with it? It's probably not, right? Like,
well, Blazor is your React. Like it's like
the C# side, right?
Yeah, it's a C# front end.
You know what I caught from all the guys, because I did read the Reddit, and I did put in some hours with Rust and some mostly tutorials. But what I got from it when I tried to talk to the guys, are like, how can we interop with JavaScript and WebAssembly code, whatever that ends up being, if it's Rust on the binary side. Most guys got mad and said, look, you just wouldn't do that. Other people say you can interop, whatever. So it still feels like to me, people are trying to shape the web to fit what they want to do. Like, that's where as much as I read about how awesome Blazor is and WebAssembly, they're still wishing the web will be much more like the days of print desktop publishing, where like, that's where I came from before the web, was you lay stuff on a canvas and it's there. And like React with its component-based design, if you want, dude, I'll show you what I'm doing in Next, if you're interested.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay. This person will stop sharing. Okay,
we also, at some point, got to figure out how we can like link our VS Codes together.
Yeah.
We haven't tried that yet.
I'll note that in the doc too next time we go live, because I do want to make sure that. I mean, I'm down to go to midnight, but I know you got a life. If we got other times we can go live. But I mean, let me show you what I've been working on, and please don't judge me too harshly. I'm taking my time, and with that big preamble, let me bring it up. So I just randomly dove into Next.js. I'm aware of what server-side rendering can be, right? From the PHP days, from the WordPress days, from .NET applications, CMS, loaders, templating languages, right? Python with Flask and Jinja 2 and all that stuff. So I'm aware with like what Next should be able to do, and I'm on that journey. So I'm taking my time, and I'm making a mess, and so please don't judge my messy folders, because you are my...
I was going to say, I feel like someone like you is a little more old school. You probably can appreciate server-side rendering more, like oh, this is more familiar, than the weird single-page app like lifestyle.
Yeah, but I've also been on the front end for a long time too, and I am. You're right, and I am interested to see uh, how much time it really has saved you. Funny thing with React and me, Brian, is like I'll be like, holy crap! With material design, I got the drawer, I got the this, I got the that, and it saves you a bunch of time. And then there's that one thing that I just don't know yet. Spend hours trying to figure out, and it's like so basic, right? So sometimes it doesn't save time when you're learning. So let me open this up and kick this off. So basically, I just got Next.js's way of using the square bracket ID.js template, post template thing. And it's kind of lame, but I mean, I've gotten through it. So let's take a look. Yarn dev. And I installed that cool plugin to make my VS Code transparent. Because
That is cool.
yeah, I'll have to show you that where that plugin is.
Yeah, I like my theme, but I think I might have to like switch to a brighter one, so that way like people can read my text a little.
Well, if we're going full crazy, then I'm just gonna do this. And this is why I went transparent. Okay.
Oh, we're getting trippy now.
Yeah, bro. So like, let me pull up my browser.
This is LSD mode.
It's Winamp's visualization, the milk dud or whatever it's called. That's some old school shit for you. Excuse my French. Okay, so we are live on a couple 30,000 person groups in React, by the way. So you can grab, when you go to one of the live feeds in Facebook, you can make a comment, look for how the minutes, like minutes or hours, how long since the comment, right click, open that in a new tab, and you'll have the permalink. Then you can share that permalink around to other Facebook pages, and they'll be live there too. So trip on that little tidbit. So I'm just waiting for my stuff to kick on.
Let me see if I can tweet this out.
What? My stuff?
Our stream here.
Yeah. You can probably tweet it out. They'll have to hit a Facebook page if that's the URL, or you could send the YouTube URL. I can add Twitter to Restream, and then we'd have like a Restream deal. So here.
Oh, I forgot that we're like in the groups only, so they wouldn't be able to see it, right?
Twitter, you can share a link, but if I would have let me just show you. Like if I would have.
You're not on Twitch or Google, right?
Yeah, like inside this channel, the Restream channel, if I would have added a channel for Twitter, then you'd have like a live URL that does propagate across Twitter pretty well.
I wonder if Restream's Restream. I wonder if this is a React app. It looks
I think it is, dude. I think it is. Maybe Vue, maybe
pretty
React.
slick site, man. I like it.
Yeah, it's got some stuff to it. I don't know how you could tell just by looking at it, but it's cool. So like this is like what I got so far, and so I decided to go with Next, and I started using Material Design, and I'm basically just figuring out how they do CSS and like how to get like routing working. So like if I click that about, I'm gonna get that. And I must have broke it last night when I was working on it.
Oh, well, let me. I can dive into the routing part for you if you want.
No, I'm learning through that stuff. I want to. This is a project that I'm doing, but I mean I don't mind starting at Freshie. But let me just show you the code anyways, since you were there, and it's kind of a mess. So like basically I started with the scaffold, and I'm glad. I did the Razzle stuff, and I thought that was cool. But it did have a couple errors in it that I were like had stuff to do with the configuration from the guys who make Razzle, and I just wasn't happy with that. So I went with Next, and then I've just sort of got a mess going here. But like one thing I noticed about Next is they have like this ID.js file and this concept of layouts. Are you familiar with that stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then and then I've got like some main files, like up in layout, I got main. And this is where like last night I kind of got a little bit late where I was just basically styling and getting things to kind of work. And I think I kind of left off there. So it's a little messy, but I am happy with Material Design. Have you used that at all?
No, but I'm looking at this looks crisp.
Yeah, it's got some neat stuff, like, like it does that automatic. And basically what you do is you go Material Design, and then they have like their own little like doohickey site where you can just pull their code down and just start messing with it. So I don't know if it's this one, I think I would
You know what
consider.
it kind of reminds me of?
What's that?
I've used something called Material CSS.
It's probably the
But that's
same.
Hold on, let me look it up real quick.
Yeah. So one thing I feel like it's definitely intermediate to take on Next.js and the dynamic router and material design. So like even though I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I know like what I need to work through, and so I'm having fun with that. And let's see some other components. Where's their demos? Are you looking at it on your end too? I'm kind of dying out.
Oh,
Let me
I
see.
found the other one. It is a different CSS library that I'm.
Is
thinking of.
it?
Yeah, I'll link you to it. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, let me get a little bit more cleaned up on the Next.js stuff, and then I'll definitely want to bring you in and say like, what do you think? So like, look at this navigation drawer stuff. So I think that like, you learning material design, as far as like it works with Next or with React, I think is its own little animal. It's
Yeah,
something.
I think they have like a CSS library. Then they have components for React, right?
Exactly. So I'm trying to pull these up. So one thing I don't like, since if you wanted to like tell me something, like sometimes I don't like how like my theme doesn't render right away when I go and I load up a React app, and then like even their website, like it'll show up. It's the black theme, but first it flashes white. Like stuff like that really bothers me.
Oh
Um,
man.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about there, but like it's their theme renderer. Let me try to find an actual demo so I can show you what I mean. But anyways, it's been real easy to. Is this it right here? Come on, it might render. If it renders all black, then this is the site. See that? Like I
Oh
don't.
wow.
Yeah, I don't appreciate that latency, and I've been getting that. Like, what's that all about? Like, it's reloading
Oh.
again.
So what it is they must have something that's detecting that you have a night mode type browser.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, and it that's why it pops in to it starts white because their default is white, and then they're like, oh, he's in night mode.
I don't think I'm in night mode though. I might have chose dark mode on this thing. I might have. I can't recall. Like, look at that. I toggled it.
Oh yeah.
So it remembers me, but stuff like that just irritates me because like even in the local build that I'm working on right now, sometimes like the CSS hasn't yet loaded and then it renders. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to.
Check go to the inspector or bring it up. I want to see if they put that as a cookie or as like a
Okay.
see if they drop. Yeah, we can just because that's an interesting little technique there. I wonder if it's in your local storage or if it's a cookie.
Okay. Where do you want me to look? Sources.
No, go to application.
That
There you go, and then go to local storage.
would be there.
Then like see a little like arrow. You gotta like it's like a folder.
So
There
yeah.
we go. They must be storing some settings. That's pretty cool. That's a technique to keep in the book.
Yeah, just the rendering time on load is kind of lame, but other than that, it's cool.
Yeah, I bet their site's Angular because Google is material design, right? And they make
They wrote their stuff. Is it? Oh, gotcha. And they did a React version. That's so
Oh yeah, because
crafty of them.
actually Google uses React, so it's kind of weird. But
Yeah.
I was reading about it. Like they have React devs that work at Google.
Oh, sneaky Google. But so like I think material design is cool. I was gonna be like looking at React Strap or Bootstrap. I guess you could do Bootstrap React and then there's React Strap. I don't know. And then I just settled on material design. But some of the demos on this is a little bit pain in the ass because like there's just not a lot of examples on the web to get exactly the drawer that I want. You know, because I'm basically gonna make a theme forest theme, and I do like some of like a little bit of each one of these demos. So it's a bit of code munging. So that's what I'm up to lately. And yeah, I like their site. I mean, they got some cool little stuff, and you know, there's even some builders. But I digress. It's a work in progress, literally.
Yeah, I saw what you're doing so far. It looks pretty good.
It's all right. It's all right. And so like, what's cool? First of all, thank you for showing me Next. I think that there's a lot of cool things in that. What would you call it? A framework, right? The Next framework?
So React isn't a framework, but Next is.
Yeah, React being the library, Next is.
Next is built with React, and like they're not afraid to take the stance that they're a full framework. So
You know what I like, Brian? I like the docs. There's like two. They have their web-based docs, and then there's the guy, the Zeit guy, or I don't know what his name is.
yeah, Zeit. They're like part of like that company makes Next.js.
Yeah.
On the React docs.
So that's what's up. I kind of feel like I've hit a wall, like showing off this stuff, but I do want to say that the Next.js, the MPX Create Next app, super easy. You get their demos going, super easy to follow. I really like their docs, and then I was like, okay, I want to change the header, like how to change the background color of Next, and then that's where you get this guy, this Zeit guy right here. And then he's got some pretty straightforward stuff where you're like, okay, do it like this, do it like that. And
yeah, so Zeit is the company that makes Next. Next. I don't know why I said Next.
Well, Next is Vue, no?
Yeah, so I love Next. Like that's like my favorite front end thing ever. I guess it's also server, but you know what I mean. I love Next. It's Next, but for Vue. Yeah.
Okay, like how so? Like straight ripoff, or like same guys, or?
Like they blatantly say that they're inspired by Next on the website. So
Okay.
they're unabashedly tying themselves to the same concept, and it works well the same way but better in my opinion. But I mean, I love Next. But I'm not trying to hate on it. But Next, in my opinion, is an improvement on it.
Well, what was weird is if you type in Next.js, like Next comes up on the right.
They got the SEO, man.
And so I was like a little confused when I was looking into it. But man, I mean, we got a Vue group, dude, and there's a new guy named DeMello who's
joined today. I didn't realize I wasn't in there, and I was sad.
Yeah, man. I mean, I those are the things I pine about at night, and I don't tell you because I just don't want to make you feel guilty. But I'm like, I knew you weren't. No. Learn Vue.js. That's the nomenclature for all of our groups. Is that sort of deal. So then, like, this guy DeMello, he's kind of new to Vue. He loves it, and I've been wanting to talk him into going live. And I really think if we could get him and you going live, and he could just you could show him some stuff, I think he'd be super grateful.
I gotta get him to school me on Vue. I'm the one still learning it.
Yeah, but I mean, you got the component design skills. He's the one who told me that he's still writing a lot of jQuery at work and stuff. So, but yeah, he's all over our group now. So this is him doing it. I guess that was my point, is that we could do some stuff over on the Vue group too. Doesn't have to just be React. Even though I'm currently in love with React, I'm going through this is kind of my first component design library that I'm really digging into. So, yeah.
Yeah, React is a good place to start because, once you learn it, learning Vue will take you like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I did do those full stack apps, and not to go on about my stuff, but I mean, I did do those full stack apps from Okta, if that's how you say it. And then here's the one in Vue, which I really enjoyed, and I built that one out. It was definitely more intuitive for a beginner who's not familiar with the JSX way.
Yeah, my favorite thing about Vue over React, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with React, but what I like over is they give you a router, like a front. I'm just talking about front end Vue. They give you a router that you can install, and it's so easy. It works intuitively, like you can put a middleware on there like you would with an Express app, and that middleware will let you check for authentication before you render a route. And whereas React, you have to build that either through React Router or Reach Router or using something like Next, which has it built in. React, you have to do all that. Plus Vuex, which is the version of Redux for Vue, is really intuitive and easy as well. So it's, Vue is, you're right, it's easier for newbies to learn, but for an experienced person, for me, it just saves time and effort. I have to do less boilerplate to get my app up and running.
To that point, I do recall finding a tool that's like a GUI for Vuex, I think. When you scaffold your application when you use this.
Oh,
There's a cool
Yeah.
like desktop app that gives you all this data. Is that in Vue or is that React? I can't recall which one it was in.
there's a, I think you have the React extension installed.
Well, there's
also-
that.
There's a, I don't know about the desktop app, but I have a Vue extension that works really good.
So I showed it to Ivan, and I'll have to bring it up on another. It isn't the plugin. It's something like this. It's like a view of like your
Okay.
entire application, but you can actually build your application with it. It's like if you want to use a CLI, you can use that, but there's also a way you can go into GUI mode for your CLI build, and it's got a front-end interface and a whole lot more switches. So that,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was pretty dope. I'll find that for you because I can't. It's not popping up right now. But I showed it to Ivan, and he's like, "Yeah, that was pretty cool." But it looks a lot like something like this.
I think too, like React is great and like, but like I don't have a lot of time to code in my personal time anymore. I only have like a few hours a day, maybe less. And like when I was, first learning to code, I had the time to set up React stuff, but Vue just lets me get going. Like
Yeah.
I've been rebuilding a site, and I'll probably write a blog post about it and stuff in the next whenever I finish it, which it should be pretty soon. But I did all that in with Nuxt, and I did static rendering like Gatsby, but right out of Nuxt, and like it's built into it. I didn't have to use their system. I didn't have to use GraphQL. It was beautiful. So I don't know. It's great. There's a lot going on in Vue that I love.
And
They
so,
have a
what
they have
is?
a whole new like version coming soon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the Vue guys just a few months ago, I think I told you were complaining that the Vue team started trying to be like React too much. Like there was a big backlash on all the big Vue groups.
So I think the context behind that is that Vue was going to do a class-based version, so very object-oriented, very like like using the class syntax from ES6, and then they pivoted to do something similar. That I think they call it the.
Are you talking-
there's an,
Is like a
they have
hooks?
an-
Is it like a hooks equivalent
It's
or?
like hooks, but they have their own name for it. It's some API they call. Hold on, I could probably find out what it's called.
Here, will you share your screen? Let me. It's better to be more interesting if you. Man, this has been amazing. I think that for a planning video, this is awesome. I mean, no doubt I'm learning stuff, and I think this will be cool for people out there to just kind of hear some developers talk. And I like Vue, dude. Don't get me wrong, man. I mean, it's intuitive, like you said. Some people say it might be the future, but I stopped buying into all that. It's like the future is now.
Okay,
Composition
so I'm
API.
just trying to composition API. That's what they call it. That's their version of hooks.
Really?
Yeah.
Composition API. Interesting. And so
All right. So you
they use
import
JSX
it.
now too. Is that a fact?
You can use JSX in Vue right now if you want to. It's in there. They have a render function just like a React. But I like their templating language.
Yeah.
I think it's more intuitive than JSX.
Big time.
Plus, you're writing real HTML, right? Like
Pretty
there's a
much.
huge advantage there because you don't have the class name. Like
Yeah.
the
Escape
downside is-
things.
the downside I think is that you can't use like the full power of JavaScript right in your HTML. But Vue makes you think about it a little differently. It's more
Yeah.
like it's more akin to using something like I don't know. It's like a fancier version of it's like you take Angular's complexity and like the way it's set up, and it has a baby with React simplicity. And that's Vue. Vue's right in the smack in the middle. So
That's quotable right there. I'm gonna come back and take that excerpt for our next one.
yeah. All right. So it looks like you import it. I'm just looking at this. I haven't seen the composition API. Oh, they have TypeScript now. That's beautiful. I gotta start using TypeScript more, but it's just like I'm kind of type aversive. Like I don't like the feeling of types. But I think it's because I'm naive. I'm willing to admit that. Um, let's see. Okay, so you wrap your state with a function. Um, actually,
That sounds
this is
good.
simpler than hooks. He's our Evan Yu has defeated hooks. This is way simpler.
He defeated hooks. Well, what's the new
Wow.
stuff? What's the new stuff in React coming out? They're talking about suspense.
Yeah,
Is that the?
let's look at that. That's dope. That I actually am pretty.
But they said
excited about
they
that.
said don't use it in production because it could change it any minute.
Oh,
but-
it's an early release mode or whatever you want to call it. Let's get back onto React because this is gonna be nice. Here we go. This is the official. So what it does, and I don't know if they'll have maybe they'll have like a picture of it. Try it on Code Sandbox. Let's see. You got to kind of see it render to understand what's going on. But have you done a lot of like async in your React yet?
Well, I watched a video where does this have to do with like profiling and load and like optimization at all?
Yes. So,
Yeah, because
like,
I watched a video where they went live at their big React conference, and he went deep into that.
So what it is, in a very quick nutshell, is you wrap your app around suspense basically, or like your components around it, and then it's like a higher order component type deal. And what it does is we'll just show you. Boop. It like gives you more control over your what they call the spinners problem, where you have like things popping in at different times, because like it's unlike when you server render something, which it might take some time between page loads, but you get everything right. Like there's nothing's missing once it renders. But in React, you could have one component fetching from one API, another fetching from another, and then you'll run into the situation where like one loads in faster than the other. So a lot of sites, you might have seen it on Facebook or like LinkedIn, is they'll have those little like placeholder content images or like spinning like circle, like a loading bar or something. And what they do is like that's kind of like a way for the component to hide its like skeleton until it pops up, you know?
Yeah.
It is pretty cool. Suspense will be really nice because this makes it easier to synchronize that. Like you could technically, if you wanted to, just wrap your whole app in suspense so it doesn't load the page until everything is loaded. You know, so you could have that like server rendered feel a little bit without having to go, you know, into Next or something like that.
Interesting.
But it's still client side in the end, and I think suspense will be adopted by Next and utilized, because I don't know if you know this, but when you use Next, so like when you use your app, for example, it starts off server rendered, so that's the initial page load it's server rendered, right? And then what happens after that is it hydrates, so like React turns on the client side, and then every time you navigate to a link, it prefetches that, so it's basically client side rendering everything else.
Can
So,
I
like,
so
yeah.
for the beginners out there, and even myself, like I read terminology, but I have yet to have like a water cooler discussion. So can you tell me like two things in your own words? What is a higher order component, and what is hydration?
Okay, hydration's complicated and I don't fully understand it, but
Okay, cool.
what it means is, so like it's basically like you have React running on the server, okay? And maybe we can Google
Let's Google it. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see.
I mean, you got a general feel of it. Let's find out. I'm not afraid to say I don't know stuff, so here we go. What is
Oh,
hydration?
this is a negative thread. We don't want to read that.
What is hydration?
In this article, I'd like to share an easy way to
It
serve
says
that
it's
render.
same as render, but is used to hydrate a container whose HTML contents were rendered by a React DOM server.
Okay, that's what it is then. So so the server builds your template, so to speak, right? And then when it hits the client, it comes to life so that you can like do client side stuff, you know, like if you have like say you have something on your React component that like has like a toggle or like like some sort of like modal or something. Even like for that to work, you have to have it running on the client side. So that's what it is. And then so there's actually a function you can call, like a method, sorry, that
React on server. What the heck is that?
so there must be. Well, let's look at that. React on server object enables you to render components static in static markup. There we go. Usually it's used on Node.
So it's for SSR sort of, or it's
So this is what Next is doing under the hood. Now we don't have to deal with any of this.
Yeah,
Next is beautiful.
the other day, before I got into SSR, I tried out like a module that was called like React-SSR or something, and then then I went on to Next. So
it's this. I guess the cool part is that we get this built in with Next, and we don't have to figure all this crap up. You know, like we don't have to figure out how it all works. We don't have to deal with rehydration. But if you're using Suspense, you gotta kind of understand how that's gonna work as far as like a site like Next kind of solves the problem in a different way. So you have two solutions, I guess, that you can use. You can use this server-side rendering to make sure all your stuff is there when you want it to be, or you can use the other side of it, which is going to be Suspense, to wait, basically to wait. If you look, so all of this is wrapped in a Suspense component. If you look back up here, so it'll show like loading posts. This is wrapped in its own. So you see how they pop in first? So this one pops in first, and this one pops in. So this is wrapped in its own Suspense container. This one's wrapped in its own Suspense container, and they don't appear like until it's done loading, which is cool.
That's dope. That's super dope. And what do you think Redux falls into line with Next or with?
So Redux is basically your state management library that you use with React. Well, you don't have to. You can use it with anything. All it is some like JavaScript wrappers that like help you like control and filter your information, and you can configure it to work in Next pretty easily if you have a lot of like client side state to worry about. Which it's possible that you would. I know like Vuex works pretty cool for Nux, which is like their version of using Redux, and like it lets you, like, I know for personally, like I'm statically generating my pages, so like just like you would with Gatsby, and my Vuex store is built when I do the generation of the pages, so like it's not happening client side, which is kind of cool. Like it just comes like immediately with everything in the state, and like all the, like, I guess what we would call my boilerplate. What I'm doing is using it to load like blog posts and stuff, and then building pages from that are statically rendered or statically generated. It's a little different than like a normal server-side rendered app, but still, like you could do that with like Next as well, because they have basically feature parity. Next has basically all the same features as Nuxt, because they're kind of the same project but on different sides of the fences.
Am I guessing right with Next, where you could probably make it statically generate out your site into cache, or you can make it runtime as well, like upon each request? Okay.
So you could,
or even a hybrid of that.
Yeah, like for example, when you're doing your little like you're doing your template for. Where are you gonna put it on? You were gonna put it on.
What do you mean? The theme forest. Theme forest.
Yeah. So you could statically generate all those pages and put them up there, and easily. You don't have to have it served, which is pretty cool.
So like so think about like a real estate website. Like maybe your home page doesn't change very much, and the about us and the contact us, all that stuff, you probably want to cache that. But then maybe if you have dynamic stuff, like new listings coming in that are pulled from like a service.
That's a great example.
That's something you would want.
So you could build you could statically generate all your pages that are like commonly, like you only update like once a month or something. And what I would do personally, and I've done this before, or if you use Netlify, they do it automatically for you, is you tie your your host or whatever your service to your GitHub, and when you publish a change to your GitHub repo, it rebuilds your site, you know, and push it. So your master branch, for example, say you tether it to your master branch. So when you push to master or do a pull request to get all your new information in there, it rebuilds your site for you live. So like that's another cool way of doing it. And then yeah, like you said, like, so you have like listings you're pulling in, you just make a page for listings, and then you do all that client side. So you have an option, right? You have the choice, which is really awesome with these libraries. It's like you can use the advantages of both of them
in the same app. That's cool. Yeah, because that's been the argument, is that SPAs with SEO, and then you have all the other things that you want to change on a very large website, and they might be dynamic. You might be consuming APIs. Cool. Yeah, it makes sense. And you might want to even cache those if they're going to be around longer too.
Right.
Or even cache queries, like people use your search, like when you put up a system and you're like, yeah, just run searches against my system that calls other APIs. I don't know what I want to cache on disk. On the first query, it might bring it down and actually cache it into the app. I'll have to see if Next can do that. Like, I imagine it could.
So I'm using this CMS called Sanity, and
Okay.
And what I'm doing with the new site I'm building, it's for this webcomic artist I know. I'm building her like a site to host her comics and like show off her art and stuff. But I have a Sanity CMS set up, and I'm pulling all that in at build time. So like I'm gonna host it up on Netlify. So it'll build from my GitHub, you know, pull up all the current master branch, build the site out using like a little like quick I think it uses AWS honestly, but underneath the hood. And what it does, it fires up a little, you know, AWS function or Lambda function that runs that code through Node.js, and then spits out the static pages into their content delivery network. And then that's how my site is pushed out to the web.
Right.
It's pretty dope. And guess what? $0 hosting costs.
Can I see? Will you pull that up? Would
Yeah.
you?
I'll show you how it works.
Yeah, do it, man.
Netlify is beautiful. I love this.
Netlify.
You can also and the beautiful part is you can run your own serverless functions straight from their like hosting platform. So like you could build like in your site file, like you can put a directory called functions, and you can set up, and they just basically like they tether you into AWS for you. You don't have to go in and you know how AWS is. You don't have to go in and deal with that. You just use their interface. But let me log in real quick.
Very cool.
These are all my sites.
Nice.
This is my portfolio that we saw a little bit ago.
I remember Dinner Hunt.
Dinner Hunt is what I built for our React.js group. It was a project challenge. I gotta come back and do another one of those, I think.
Maybe we start with an easier one for people.
Yeah, this was a bit. I got a little too overzealous, I think.
Well, it wouldn't build on my end because I was new, but I think I could get it to work now.
Yeah,
that was a while ago.
I mean,
it was a year ago.
Let me go to my portfolio and I'll show you. So this is the Gatsby sites, statically generated.
Okay.
So I go to deploys and see how it's. I did it this morning. I did a rebuild because every time I do it, it like hits up my Dev2 profile and pulls down my views and likes and stuff. So I try to rebuild like once a week so I can update all that information.
So you consider this a CMS?
This is not the CMS.
Okay.
I can show you that in a second. But
Okay.
This is my site, and this is where I publish. If you look here, I go into my settings really quick, and you can see set up my domain. So you can hook. I bought my domain off of Namecheap, and then I hooked it up here, so I can easily have it set up. They have functions, which I don't have any yet for this site, but yeah, it's pretty cool. They even have an identity widget. So if you need to do auth for your site, that they give you that to like integrate in pretty easily. Forms is beautiful. So you can have any web page do a post request, and then it actually it'll save all the results of the post request in here. So it's like a little API container. Like say you want to have like a about page with a contact form.
Nice.
In your contact form, you can have it post request back here, and you just put this little tag right on your form. See, and it stores it all in here for you, so you don't have to build your own little API. They just do this. It's pretty nice.
That's good. Yeah, that's usually a problem for people having to do like a form mail because they have to pay like a provider. So this
if you're building sites for clients, this is a beautiful resource. So this
Awesome.
is building my site. I'll actually let me build it. Why not? Let's just build it. That way we can see. We can do it live here. Deploy. So I'm gonna deploy.
Netlify.
So what this is doing, when I hit this button, it's gonna hit my GitHub, pull down all the files that are there. So if I had made a change to my portfolio, say like I changed something in my helmet, I wanted to update my description, right, to kind of bring it full circle, I would do that, push it to master branch, or do a pull request. I just push to master because it's just me. I'm not working with a team, but push it to master, and then I come here and I hit deploy. Now, it also when I push to master from like my Git command line, it does this. I don't have to come here and click the button. I'm just doing that to show you can do it manually.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll build automatically, so you can come and look and see like, did it fail? Because like if maybe you have a problem or something with your code, it might fail. But as you can see, it's doing all sorts of stuff. It tries to run Ruby, tries to run PHP. It's going through here. It figured out that I have Node, I think.
Huh.
Yep. Now it's running my Node scripts that build my site. So it's creating the pages, updating my GraphQL schema. It's running. This is all running on probably AWS somewhere behind the scenes. Now it's getting all the data out of my queries from my GraphQL. Now it's writing. It's basically building the HTML for my site.
Rad.
Takes a few minutes. I mean, it's not the fastest thing, but if you have a static site, with, like you said, only a couple pages, you don't update it often, this is perfect. Like literally, like.
What was the cost on it? What was the cost on it?
$0.
For until what? Until you have 10, 20 sites, or?
I think it scales based on how many people you have. We can go to their salesy part.
$0.
Pricing. Let's go to pricing. All right, so here's where they start charging you.
Oh, team
You
members.
wanna have more than one build running. So I mean, for a personal site, that's never going to happen. If you want to protect your site with a password, if you have team people, so you have more than, if you're a business. So me, you, and Ivan started building sites for clients. We might want to pay the $45 a month so we can work together on the same projects. And you get notifications, so you get some API access that you don't get on the starter tier. But literally, like I couldn't think of much that you would need this for unless you're like maybe a web agency or a small team. You know what I mean?
I love how they jumped to $1,000 a month. That's awesome.
Yeah, I see that a lot with like these newer, like I guess like web businesses where they'll have like a really like generous, like Auth0 is like this too, which I've played with them recently too. And you played with Autka, which is cool because like we both have used the two different providers here of like authentication. But look at their pricing, and I like this product a lot, but their pricing is a little bit like a little bit of a jump. You see this? So you go from their free tier, which you get some basic stuff, and then you go right to here where it's like either $23 or $1,000. It's just silly.
Wow. I kind of get it though, because it's much like WordPress has the. Who's those one providers that there's one provider that's known for doing special caching, and there's a lot of support. So you're basically looking at like $12,000 a year, and you'll get someone to be basically your server admin, or whatever. You get higher level support. That's not bad.
Yeah, that might be worth it for some projects.
Yeah, I mean, for a company, that's cheaper than hiring one full-time person.
Yeah, and you said you're kind of outsourcing that part of it. But yeah, Netlify, definitely use it for your stuff. I mean, you have nothing to lose until they change this tier. You're fine. Like they'll let you put your custom domains on there. You have Git integration. You can do CD. You can get previews. They have an awesome CLI tool that lets you run their environment locally, so you can test everything. I love Netlify. I actually gave a talk at it in a local meetup. Like,
Dude, I'm gonna check it out. I like it. I like these free. So like Firebase is somewhere in there, right? With some free stuff. Slash, it does fire authentication.
Oh, yeah.
There's Auth0,
My one
Okta.
site's built with Firebase, and it's pretty cool. I'll show you that site.
It's popular. All these guys have something to offer, I think. Let me get back.
Well, I forget the URL of my own site. How silly.
You gotta pay somebody $0 a month to remember that for you.
Here it is.
Unfortunately, I know what I have.
So I built this site. This is a fan kind of website that I built for a variation of Dungeons and Dragons.
I remember this one. I like this
Black
one.
Hack.
Yeah.
And this is built all of Firebase. And this is a full CRUD app.
Cool. Did you start with a boilerplate on their end, or how did you get it going?
I believe I use their they have like a SDK that you can use on the front end.
And
This
some
is all
examples.
React. This is all React, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Bringing it back.
I'm using. Yeah. Let's see. I think I have an account on my own site. I hope I do. Okay, so this is a pretty cool little app I built. So you can create your character. So this is like Genrick, the character I made, which I can manage him.
Sounds good.
And this is, a character sheet basically. Loading, it's pulling my database, the data from Firebase, and then I can edit my character, fill out information about him. This is my first real React project, like where I built it. I sat down and I coded it out, and it wasn't a tutorial example. Like I had to think of how to do all this by myself. This is all using hooks as well.
Nice. So let me ask you, like, I'm learning React, right? Like to the point where I can recognize if some example code I have is either in class form or if it's in hook form. So do some applications, do you mix code, or you just strictly say this whole app is going to be in hooks, no component is going to be in classes, or do you know what I'm saying? Like if you're grabbing,
I follow you.
If you're grabbing code off the web and you're like, oh, this code is doing exactly what I want, but my app is mostly written in hooks, I'm going to refactor this into hooks, or do you, like, what's your belief system? Like, technically you can mix them, or what?
So the way I look at it is you have the class-based component system, which is, they won't say it, but in my opinion, it's deprecated.
Okay.
So it's not what you want to be using. You want to be using hooks, because hooks are objectively better in many ways.
Okay.
Not only is it an easier, it's an improvement on React, right?
Easier to read.
Easier to read, easier to like reuse the logic. They're functional components, so the coding out your component itself, in my opinion, is a lot easier. You're not tied to the limitations of using the class API in JavaScript. You're using a more natural version of JavaScript, right?
And so where does the term pure component come into, or pure function? Does that tie in?
Oh, so a pure function is a functional programming paradigm thing, which, and I could be misquoting this. I'm not a functional programmer, but what it intends is that every component does one thing. So like it returns the same thing. There's no side effects, which is really hard to do in
in respect for React, because I heard about it the other day, and I've heard the terminology, and it's crazy. You can work with code for years even and never really notice what they meant. But I think it was pure functional components in React.
I like that.
I just Googled it right now. So I guess components are basically functions to a degree, right? And this is me still talking.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think so, knowing so with JavaScript in general, like all that a class is a function too, but there's syntactic. I can never say that word. Syntactic sugar on top of. It's on top of your. Basically it sits on top of. The class sits on top of like a function and does all that like prototyping stuff for you, which
I don't know who's here.
in general, it's a little bit easier to, like, in my opinion, to reason about a function than it is this like abstraction of a function.
Right.
You know, it's kind of weird. It's because it's not like C# where like everything is a class and then it becomes an object. In JavaScript, everything's an object and it has a prototype. It's a different object-oriented paradigm altogether. And then they threw the class API there into ES6 so you can use it. And what happened was it works great, but like it's people who are coming from C# or Java or something, like they think it's one thing when it's something else, and they'll run into problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. So that's good. Yeah, it's good conversational too for like the new folks, including myself, to just sort of get that terminology, like what's a pure component, what's a pure function. It's like whatever you pass in, it comes out. It's to be what it's going to be expected. Um, like no artifacts or no, I forget. I'll have to Google that. But
Yeah, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a drink real quick.
okay, hey, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up the document and put some ideas down for our next episode.
Okay.
Because I do want to stick some WebAssembly stuff in there and see if there's like and I don't mean to keep making. Like, grab your drink and I'll be here. I got the document up.
All right.
Are you grabbing your drink? Yeah, you haven't moved. You have like a fake virtual you. I'm watching you. Hey, you walking off into Mars. Hey, you got a fridge in Mars. Can you hear the words coming out of my mouth? Your background is cooler than mine. That's good. I'm jealous. I'm jealous, man. Mountain Dew. Did you pull your headphones off? That you did. You can't hear nothing. I was talking to you. I was like, you look like you walked off into the sunset. Okay. So let's bring this up bigger.
That sounds good.
Where you at, Brian? Okay, so we're getting close to the wrap up here, where I'm going to tell folks about where they can get our YouTube and our Facebook. I'll just put that here. And then Brian Barber, let me put his info up here. Dev.to. I like that name, Steel Voltage. And might as well put me there too. See if I pop up. Hey, who's that guy? Rather be surfing.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, so man, you couldn't hear me, but I was saying like it looked like you walked off into the Martian sunset there. That was cool. So I'm not sure if you can see my screen, Brian, but I think this has been a great intro into like who you are as a dev and also kind of where I'm at as a dev. I do have those years experience, but there's always something new to learn, and in a lot of ways you really mentored me into like learning Next. Your solid new school skills are awesome, man. So this has been great, and I've got this document here. I put your dev.to URL on it, including mine, and then also the couple of the groups. And then I was gonna say, maybe we won't do it in our next meetup online, but I think we should do something with WebAssembly. I think we should try it out for fun because we brought it up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know anything about it, so it'd be really interesting to try it out.
Yeah, I would love to get like I don't know if that has to be maybe it's not our next dealio, but like I love this stuff I learned from Chase Rayner, the SEO genius guy that I follow, the authority hacker. He just gets after it. He's like, let's try something, and then just goes after it, pair programming style. But well, that'd be us. But he does it on his own. So I stuck WebAssembly in the dock, but we can always hit React. I think that like a little bit of like something with suspense, maybe a little more hands-on. Next time maybe is an option. Also, maybe generating a Next.js app from scratch might be fun. Like
Oh, you know what I could show you, which is another really cool feature about Next.js, is I can show you their they have built-in serverless function like with an API. So like you can literally build an API right in your pages folder. I can show you that. That'd be pretty cool.
okay, so I'll note that here. Unless you're dying to show it to me now, but I'll just note it for like when we meet up again because this is just the planning. This has been awesome. I think it's a great intro for everybody to meet you, know your skills, know where I'm coming from, and this has been rad. I'm sure people learned stuff. I know I did. So I'll make a Next.js, and then you said the API setup.
Yeah, yep, we can do that. That's really cool and pretty useful. Like you don't have to make a second like app
And then I think we should
serve your API routes.
yeah, if we're gonna make a Next.js app, like we'll also figure out how to link code sharing in VS Code. You know, we'll have that. We could figure it out on the live stream. It don't matter. And then also, what was another one? The equivalent of Helmet might be interesting if there is one.
Yeah,
Might be like worthwhile. And if we have time, we could actually deploy it. Like it's always nice to be like, hey, we're gonna build a thing that does a thing, and let's get it out, and whatever. So maybe we deploy it, and then maybe next time we talk about Svelte a little bit. Svelte, I think you mentioned that.
ah, yeah. I love the spell. It's,
All right.
Yeah, we could talk about it. I think it would be eye-opening for you too.
Okay, so I'll just keep that on the list because I don't want to like be so structural that like it's not fun. But I think there's some fun in sort of this like random Wild West. Let's just try to make some stuff. So those, you know, so
Yeah, I agree. Like it's fun, just like because like we could do this stuff without being live. But why not do it live?
hell yeah. All right, well, man, I mean, I know we could go forever, but it's been an honor to finally like go live. This is a milestone, and I think that we're generating some cool content for the people out there. And I'm doing it from space. You're in Mars. That's amazing.
Next
So-
time I think I'll be on a cruise ship and you'll be somewhere else. What are you thinking?
On the beach, maybe. You know, with my
Okay,
fair
okay.
skin. You know, since you're doing the cruise ship.
We're getting a lot of radiation right now. So we need a next time. I think we need to cut back on it a little bit.
Oh man, but dude, this has been rad.